Next, you'll want to have some solid plans for your coop. It would be even better if you already have your coop. Your chicks will grow much more quickly than you think, and they'll be ready for that coop before you know it. Just as with brooders, you can buy pre-made chicken coops, but they can get quite pricey, so make sure you consider your budget. If you or someone in your family is handy with tools, you may want to build your own. Some people like to make chicken tractors. Think of a coop with wheels that they can move around in the yard. I like to repurpose things. I found a children's playhouse on Craigslist, and I bought a dog kennel from my neighbor, and for less than $100, I had my coop and run. Whatever you decide to do, I cannot say this strongly enough. Have your coop and run worked out before you get your chicks.
There are several factors that will determine the shelter setup that's right for you. Your local ordinances, your personal preferences, your neighbors, your property, your chickens, and your budget. Let's review these one at a time. Not only does your local government determine whether or not you can legally keep chickens, it may place limits on how many you can have and whether or not you can keep roosters. Most zoning ordinances also limit the size and placement of the coop and run. If you live in a city or suburb, they will likely require you to put the coop in your backyard and restrict how close it can be to your neighbor's property. If you are not permitted to let your chickens range, meaning they must be penned up at all times, you should give them a larger than normal run so that they can have more space to move around. The bottom line is, know your local ordinances before you do anything. If you want to keep roosters, and assuming you are permitted to, give some thought to how far your coop will be from your house. Remember that they like to crow at the start of each day, and unless you're an early riser, you might get quickly frustrated with your roo. There is also smell. If you don't have a lot of chickens, and if you keep your coop clean, smell will never be an issue, period. But if you're not diligent about cleaning, there will be some odor. And do you really want that wafting into your house? Remember, too, that you need to be going out to your coop on a daily basis to refill food and water. If it's several hundred feet from your house, that can be inconvenient, especially if you have harsh winters. Who wants to trek through a foot of snow to get to the coop? Not me. It's always a good idea to get input from your neighbors before putting up your coop. Tell them how big you plan to make it and where you'll be putting it. Whereas you don't need their blessing, provided you comply with the law, it is respectful to let them know your intentions and to allow them to give you feedback. The smaller your property, the more limited you are in the size and placement of your coop and run. If you have a postage stamp size yard, you probably don't want to get a dozen chickens. 3 or 4 might be better. Also, consider your property's topography. If you plan to let your chickens range, there should be shrubs, hedges, or other places where they can escape the hot sun and also hide from predators. If your property is devoid of those, your hens will have to stay penned up most of the time. You also need to consider the number of chickens you want. Obviously, the more chickens you get, the bigger the coop and run required. But there are also breed tendencies to consider. If you select breeds that don't bear confinement well, you will need a housing setup that allows them to range. And finally, there is your budget. How much money do you have to spend? Do you plan to build a chicken palace, say one that matches the design and building materials used in your house? Or maybe a prefab coop that takes all the hassle out of the process? You might be like me, always looking for the creative way to do things frugally. Whatever your desire, develop a budget, commit to it, and stick to it. Don't let your coop break the bank.